Hello and welcome. We are about to jump into one of the deepest, most challenging paradoxes you can find right from the heart of the Zohar. It's a mystery that really echoes through the ages. What is the true nature of the Holy Land, of Eretz Yisrael?
Exactly. Because we have to understand, we're not just talking about a spot on a map here. In the mystical tradition, this place it's the king's palace. It's a zone of unbelievable divine intimacy. And yet, if you look at its history, it's also a land of ultimate suffering. It's just saturated with pain and destruction.
And that right there is the central haunting question for us today. I mean, think about it. If this land is the king's personal chamber, if it's directly under his rule, a place where the divine presence dwells like absolutely nowhere else on earth, then why? Why is its history this long chronicle of intense judgment and suffering? Why would the king ever allow his own palace to be shattered? You know, it's a question that really gets at our deepest ideas of what divine love and justice even are. But the Zohar, it doesn't back down. It actually invites us in to completely rethink what we thought we knew about divine rule, about intimacy, and maybe most surprisingly, about what destruction truly means.
So, to help us navigate this incredible mystery, we're going to use the ancient four-level map for interpretation, the one known as Pardes. First up, we'll look at the land's unique paradox. Then, we'll dig into why there are no intermediaries, only the king. And from there, we're going to see something incredible: judgment as divine grief. After that, we'll go even deeper to the secret of a system reset. And then, finally, we'll bring it all home and learn how to apply the cosmic blueprint to our own lives. So, let's start at the surface.
All right, so we begin at the level of Peshat. This is the plain, simple, observable reality. It's what we can see, what we can read, what we can feel on the surface of history and scripture. And right away, we're hit with two truths about this one piece of land that seemed completely impossible to reconcile. On the one hand, our tradition is crystal clear. This land literally glows with a unique kedusha, an intrinsic built-in holiness. This is the place where the Shekhinah, the indwelling divine presence, actually makes her home in our world. It's the spiritual focal point for the entire planet.
That's right. The Zohar describes it as being directly under the hand of the king. Think about that. This is the one place, the singular domain, where heaven and earth were designed to meet, where the veil between the physical and the spiritual is almost transparent.
And yet, the Pshat, the surface reality, also shows us this. A land just darkened by judgment, by destruction. The temple, the very heart of that divine connection, it didn't just fall once, it fell twice. The story of this land is defined by the agony of exile. So here it is, the paradox staring us in the face. The place of the greatest conceivable light is also the stage for the deepest, most profound darkness. To understand why, we have to go deeper. We have to look past what happened and start to understand how the cosmic system is actually designed. Okay, let's move to Remez. This is the level of hints, of illusions, of the blueprint that's hidden just beneath the surface. And the answer to our paradox? Well, it's hinted at in the cosmic architecture itself, in the way the world is governed. The Zohar reveals this fundamental difference in how the divine relates to Eretz Yisrael compared to, well, everywhere else. Okay, so this slide is huge. It's laying out two completely different models for how God runs the show. On the left, you've got the model for the 70 nations of the world. The Zohar explains they're governed through intermediaries. Each nation has its own angelic minister, a sar, who acts as a kind of cosmic governor. This creates a buffer zone. It filters both blessing and judgment.
But then you look at the right side, at Eretz Yisrael, and it's a whole different ballgame. The Zohar is emphatic. No other power, no other spiritual force has any say over it. The king governs it directly, period. No buffers, no intermediaries. The connection is raw, it's unmediated. And what that means is that both the light of blessing and the fire of judgment are immediate and totally unfiltered.
Here's a way to think about it in today's terms. Imagine the 70 nations are like a distributed cloud network. You know, they're running on regional servers, all managed by different admins. A problem in one region? It can be isolated. You can patch it without bringing down the whole system.
But Eretz Yisrael, it is the core operating system. The divine king has direct root access. There are no firewalls, no APIs, no external servers. Any command is executed instantly at the most fundamental level. Now that allows for this incredible, unparalleled intimacy, but it also means that any corruption isn't just a localized bug. It's a system-wide crisis that infects the core itself.
Okay, let's get into the mechanics here, using the language of Kabbalah. The physical land itself, it's the embodiment of the Sephirah of Malkut, the kingdom, the queen, the Shekhinah. And Malkut is designed to receive its divine flow, its life force, from Tiferet, the king, divine glory.
Now, for the rest of the world, that flow is channeled through all these different pathways, these other sephirots. But for Eretz Yisrael, it's a direct line, Tiferet to Malkut. That's the secret of its holiness, but it's also the source of its intense, almost painful sensitivity. Any impurity, any flaw in Malkut is felt instantly by Tiferet. There's no delay, there's no filter. The feedback loop is immediate.
And this direct, unfiltered connection, it brings us to our next level, Drush. This is where we explore the inferred meaning, the deep emotional and spiritual reality of what's happening. Because if the connection is really that intimate, then what does judgment even look like? And I'll tell you, it is not what we think. This quote from the Zohar, this is everything. This is the key that unlocks the entire mystery. It paints this picture of a king. When he's angered by his son's actions, he doesn't punish the son directly. Instead, he goes into his own chamber, he takes his own most precious, beautiful vessel, and he shatters it. He tears his own royal purple garment. And the emphasis here, the thing you have to see, is who is doing the action. It's not some enemy from the outside. The Zohar says he, the king, tore the garment. The Lord did what he planned. This just completely reframes the entire destruction of the temple. It's not a victory for Babylon or Rome. It's a painful internal act performed by the divine king himself. So, here's the crucial shift we have to make. We have to completely reframe our idea of divine judgment, of din. Our default setting is to see it as a punitive act, right? It's external anger. It's a sign of abandonment. It's a king up in heaven punishing these rebellious subjects down on earth. But the Zohar, with this incredible metaphor, shows us it's actually an expressive act. It's the result of intimacy, not distance. It's not external anger, it's internal, profound grief. This isn't a king punishing his subjects, this is a king tearing his own royal clothing, because the very vessel that was meant to express his glory, his own kingdom, his Malkut, has become corrupted, has become broken. The destruction is an expression of that agonizing rupture within the Godhead itself. And that really is the secret of the number one here. The sovereignty is absolute. The connection is one-to-one, direct. And because of that intimacy, any flaw, any corruption is felt immediately, right at the core.
And this triggers a very specific kind of response. The pure white light of chesed, of loving kindness and compassion, it shifts. When that direct connection is corrupted, the response is an intense, pure din, which is represented by the color red. But it's not an attack from the outside. It's an internal state change within the divine system itself, a direct consequence of that broken intimacy.
And this intense internal reaction, this is what leads us to the deepest level, to the sod, the secret. Why would the system be designed this way? Why this agonizing cycle of intimacy followed by rupture, followed by this painful internal reset? What is the ultimate purpose behind what looks like just a destructive pattern? The Zohar lays out this incredible four-step process. And you have to see, it's not an end, it's a cosmic reset. So first, a flaw is introduced right into the core of this intimate system. Second, the tearing, the destruction we've been talking about, is actually a painful internal purge to cleanse that impurity. Then comes step 3, exile. But here's the twist. The divine presence, the Shekinah, goes with the people into exile in order to gather up these lost holy sparks. And finally, step 4, the reweaving. The whole point of the entire process is a single goal, a complete system reboot that leads to a restored, perfect unification. Okay, to make this a little easier to get our heads around, let's use a video game analogy. Imagine this huge online game world. Most of it is run by automated servers, game masters, you know the drill. But there's this one special protected area, the creator's zone. Only the original creator of the game has direct admin rights there. No other player, no other admin can touch the rules in that zone. So, what happens if the players inside that special zone find a way to break the game's most fundamental rules, to actually corrupt the core code itself? The creator doesn't just ban those players. Banning them doesn't fix the corrupted code. No, to preserve the integrity of the whole game, the creator initiates a direct, full-level reset. The whole zone gets wiped clean and restored to its original perfect state, ready for a fresh start. Yeah, it's painful for the players who are in there, but it's absolutely necessary for the health of the entire system.
Or, if you think more in terms of cosmic engineering, try this one. The universe is like this vast network of distributed systems, but Eretz Yisrael is a centralized core operating system.
And failures in the core OS, they can't be outsourced. You can't have a third party come in and patch it. A critical kernel-level corruption compromises the entire network. The only real solution is a painful, yes, but necessary reboot from the root level to guarantee the integrity and stability of the whole creation. The destruction isn't a bug, it's a feature of the system's recovery protocol.
And the Zohar is so clear about what the final goal of this whole agonizing cycle is. It quotes the prophet Zechariah, reminding us that the whole point of the tearing, the exile, the regathering, it's all to arrive at a state where everything finally returns to its perfect intended place. The ultimate destination is a reality where all the paradoxes are resolved, where the hidden unity is finally revealed, where, as the verse says, the Lord will be one and his name will be one. The pain, somehow, is the mechanism for a deeper, more profound, and ultimately revealed unity.
So, we've journeyed all the way from the surface paradox to the deep cosmic secret. We've seen the governance model, the emotional truth of divine grief, and the ultimate purpose of this system reset. So now, the final step. We have to bring this grand cosmic blueprint home into our own lives.
And this is where this teaching becomes intensely personal. You know, the mystics always teach as above, so below. So if this pattern, intimacy, rupture, and reset, is literally hardwired into the relationship between the divine and his holy land, is it possible that it's also the blueprint for the relationship between the divine and our own holy land, our soul?
Okay, if you take away just one thing from everything we've talked about, let it be this. What if your soul is your own personal Eretz Israel? What if your deepest, most painful struggles, those moments where you feel completely broken, judged, or in exile from your own self, what if they are not signs of divine abandonment? What if they are the exact opposite? What if they are the workings of a direct, unbuffered, and deeply intimate divine connection? A connection so close that it can't tolerate impurity, and so it has to initiate a painful internal recalibration, not to punish you, but to purify you, to elevate you from within.
So we'll leave you with this question to really think about. Look at the areas of your life right now that just feel like they are falling apart. Can you try, even for a moment, to reframe that experience through this incredible Zoharic lens? What royal garment is being torn in your life right now?
And can you just entertain the possibility that it's not an act of anger, not a sign of abandonment, but actually a profound internal expression of a love so deep that it requires a necessary reset, a clearing of the path so that a more authentic, a more unified, and a more holy version of you can finally emerge?
Thank you for joining us for this complete journey through the Pardes. We hope these ancient truths help you and your family improve your own dimensions this week.
If you enjoyed this full chapter deep dive, please like, subscribe, and share which part of the journey touched your soul in the comments. We'll see you in the next chapter.